some rather tough questions posed to Sergent Thabo Mosia as Linda Mnisi, who has been following this court case, joins us in studio, of course, expanding on some of the answers that we heard, Linda. A lot of the answers that we heard really went back to Mosia, speaking about how he, besides Brigadier Ndlovu, he had to wait for the SAPS crime scene task team to take over the case, and he stopped at a certain point. 8 photographs were taken, and the rest was conveyed to other officers to take over.
Absolutely, and he mentions that the reason why he did that was because the scene got challenging. I remember quite vividly yesterday when he mentioned that the reason why, amongst the reasons really why he decided to stop along the way to wait and call the crime management task team was because Senzo Meyiwa was a well-known person, and that the instructions from the officer that if there is such a case, then the crime management task team needs to be called to come to the scene. But you also look at how the evidence was gathered in terms of the knowledge that he got about what happened exactly inside of the house and where he got that information from. Unfortunately, or should I say fortunately for him, I don't know, but Brigadier Ndlovu comes up again in terms of whether or not he interviewed those people and what kind of information he received from them, because they were the people who were inside the house. They probably would know what happened inside the house. And he says, well, in terms of where Senzo Meyiwa was inside the house when he was shot, that information he still got from Brigadier Ndlovu. So it really raised a lot of questions from defense attorney Advocate Zandile Mshololo, who's representing accused number 5, in terms of why he did not go beyond to find those people. Let's take a listen to this bite.
The spot that was showed to you by Canon Ndlovu as the spot where the deceased was when he was shot is the spot that you were directed by someone who was not present when the incident took place.
That's correct, because he would be the one who would have gathered the information prior to my arrival.
So how will this court accept that evidence? Because you got it from someone. It's a hearsay before this court. You got it from someone, and on top of that, who was not present when the shooting incident took place.
Some of those remarks coming out of the cross-examination in the High Court in Pretoria, Linda. The incident and the order of events, the scenarios that were created by Advocate Mshololo, speak to a lot of mistakes. I mean, she made emphasis, as she said, and questioned Mosia and asked, and confirmed, are you a senior forensic expert? Are you a person who is well-versed within this occupation? And he agreed to that. And it came up in different ways, where Advocate Mshololo tried to get it out of him, to get a sense of whether or not he's of a high level of expertise, because there are a lot of loopholes.
Absolutely. In fact, you're taking me back to during the week when he was asked around whether or not he was trained at the time he went into that crime scene, because the whole conversation around, having to call the crime scene management task team came from that. Is it because you were not trained enough to collect the evidence that you collected when you went into the crime scene? And obviously shining the spotlight on police training in that regard. But he did say that, he was the forensic expert and was collecting evidence. So the question from Advocate Mshololo is, even though Brigadier Ndlovu was a senior police officer, you were the expert. You had more knowledge on collecting forensic evidence than he had. So how is it that you allowed him to show you what to collect and still not continue and go over and beyond the points that were shown to you to try and investigate and get to understand exactly the crime scene and what it looked like? Today he speaks about the swabs that he took from the doors. He points to quite a number of doors. He says there were about 4 doors that he took swabs from, or that he had a look at. It's door number 1 from the bedroom, 2 from the bedrooms, in fact 3 from the bedrooms rather, and then 1 from the toilet. And he says specifically the one that he speaks about that he took swabs was the first door that is just across the main entrance. And he says the reason why he took swabs of that particular door is because the allegation is that Kelly Khumalo ran into that particular bedroom and closed the door, and the alleged intruders went in or tried to open that particular door. So it then raises questions around why he was able to do that, take swabs off that particular door, but did not manage to get swabs from the door of the entrance, which the alleged intruders allegedly used to enter into the house.
And also the question around the photographs. I mean, 8 photos taken on the night and some spots being missed.
Some spots being missed, indeed. And that's speaking to the issue around, further investigation, going beyond what you have been informed by the officer who was at the crime scene at the time. And yesterday he was really asked in around, the meters of the evidence that he collected, because at some point he said that he did not see the bullet fragment that was on the kitchen counter. And he was asked to demonstrate in terms of, the distance between those items, and was questioned around how it is that he did not see the bullet fragment and only picked it up when he came back. But also going beyond the distances, Advocate Mshololo asking him about the register of the evidence that he collected. Certain evidence he did not see when he arrived the first time. The projectile, which is basically the front part of the bullet, was found on the scene, and he says he found that was found as part of Exhibit B when now the task team had arrived, and how he stored that. Why is it that he did not see that upon the first arrival? And Advocate Mshololo saying that the reason why you did not see it, it's because it was not there. It was planted.
Yeah, very interesting revelations coming out of this case. Of course, Linda Mnisi, our reporter, following the details around this case. Of course, we continue to bring you a full 2-hour recap of the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial from 10 p.m. up until midnight, taking you inside the courtroom for the explosive revelations of the day. We'll also continue our focus right here on News at Prime on the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. Joining me next is legal expert Ulrich Rue.